Hello and welcome to Kickoff Conversations, Episode 5. My name is Ray.
And I'm Jake, week 5. It's crazy. It's going fast.
It's going way too fast. We're already into October.
First week of October. Starting to have some crisp mornings.
Oh, yeah.
Football is here.
Cold in the morning, cold at night.
Yep.
The crazy thing was I was looking at the schedule. I was like, man, we only have 7 or 8 weeks left. It's just so frustrating.
Not of NFL, we don't.
Oh, yeah, NFL, we're good. College is just so frustrating, and this has been the best year for me. This is the most I've ever watched. Maybe it's because we're doing this, but
and because Nebraska is actually relevant.
Yeah, good point. That was a nice little jab. But enough about college. You're right. Let's start it off with NFL like we did last week. Man, the Chiefs, 4-0, pulled it off.
To all you Chiefs haters out there, what's your team's record? There's only one other team in the league that's 4-0, and somehow it's the Minnesota Vikings. So you can suck on that.
Which is funny too.
We're going to talk about them here in a little bit. But
4-0.
Yeah, Chiefs 4-0, big win at LA or at the Chargers.
Does it mean anything or not?
Being 4-0, is that what you
Yes.
mean? No, not really. I mean, yeah, it does for the Chiefs because typically they start slower. They are starting slow on the offensive side, but usually they're not running the table for the first 5 or 6 weeks. So yeah, I think it's big. The reason I think it means more than it would have in the past is because Baltimore lost some games early. When it comes to seeding, I think that's going to matter, and we beat them head to head. Same with Cincinnati, who I still think Cincinnati's going to come on. I don't think they're going to falter like they have been throughout the rest of the year. And then Buffalo also took a big loss last week at Baltimore. So those are the three teams that ultimately I think challenge the Chiefs year in and year out just based on their quarterback play, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, and Josh Allen. Mm-hmm. So I think it's big that all those teams have already lost, and we've already beaten 2 of those 3 teams head to head. So yeah, I think the 4-0 does mean something. What are your thoughts?
I think it does mean something, and I think it's in the way that they're winning. One, going 4-0 in the NFL, going undefeated or having a low amount of losses in the NFL, you don't see it as much, obviously, as you do college. And I think in the way that they're winning in adversity. Again, Mahomes, what are we up to, 5 or 6 interceptions? We got
6 touchdowns, 5 picks.
I mean, we got 5 picks through 4 games. I'm trying to remember this one against the Chargers this week, but for the most part.
It was the one where Kelsey ran a corner route, tried to squeeze it in between 2 defenders, and
he just, I don't know what that is. But again, I think being 4-0 does mean something in the way that they're winning, the adversity that they're facing. They're getting through it, and to do that 4 times in a row, kind of cold turkey with, as of, we're going to talk about it, but wide receiver room, young, now banged up a little bit, hurt. Travis Kelce's been playing poorly.
He's back.
They're still winning. I think it's a big deal. I like it a lot, and I don't see them losing this week.
Yeah, the thing that I think's encouraging, I think they're ahead of schedule compared to what they usually are. Usually their defense starts slow, and Spagnuolo will kind of kick it up or pick it up later in the year, the last quarter of the year. The defense, you can argue, has won them every single game late in the game. This week, they made a big stop. Last week,
definitely last week
against Atlanta, big stop. Nick Bolton. Week 2 against Cincinnati, did the same thing.
Week 1 when we were there.
Week 1, they kind of dominated the game early, and then the offense didn't really put them away.
Got the stop by the toenail.
But yeah, the defense has been. I think it's a top 5 defense in the league. I think we have a top 5 defensive player overall in the league in Chris Jones.
Dude's an animal.
And so yeah, I think the 4-0 start means something. Now let's talk a little bit about injuries here.
Tough thing, man. Seeing that guy go down on such a weird play like that.
We're recording this on Thursday, so you all know we still don't know anything on the severity of it. There was a report that came out today that basically he has his leg in a sleeve, but he was seen walking around the locker room. No crutches. I don't know how smooth or how clean this walk was. If he was walking with a limp, I'm guessing he's going to have a little bit of a limp. But what are your thoughts on him getting a second opinion on the knee? Do you think that means anything, or do you think?
I don't really know. I'm not a doctor.
Neither of us are doctors.
I mean, I will say I'm gonna keep my eyes peeled and my ears open. The shop talks about a little bit. She's done his girlfriend's hair a few times, so I'm excited to see maybe if we can hear something. But I'm sure that won't.
Maybe
get to Jada.
get her in for an appointment. Kick off conversations with like the
have
the
Jada run a
inside
little
scoop.
discount. But I think that's a big loss. I mean, he was playing really well.
Yeah,
he was
it's
basically
a huge
taking over what Travis Kelce was doing, and I don't know if they're going to be able to fill that. But I think Mahomes is so good. I don't know how
From
much
what I think on the knee thing, I think every day that goes by, you got to feel a little bit better and better. I feel like if it was truly fully torn, his ACL, they would have known sooner. But maybe it is just so swollen that they can't tell. I've been seeing some reports that it could potentially be a PCL and he'll be out 6 to 8 weeks. Which
PCL?
I think
what the hell is
I don't
that?
know. I have no idea. It's a ligament in your knee.
I haven't heard of that. I've heard the MCL and the ACL.
I don't know. But all I know is that this impacts the Chiefs going after someone in the trade market. I think if he is not done for the year, I don't think they will make a trade for someone. Like I think if he's out 6 weeks, for example, I don't think the Chiefs will make a trade for it. They have their bye week coming up next week after they play the Saints. So ultimately it'll be almost 3 weeks since he had played, and they've only had played one additional game. So I think that helps, and I don't think they make a move. But let's talk about next week. Let's talk about the Saints. They play the Saints Monday Night Football at Arrowhead. What do you got?
I've got the Chiefs all over this one. Saints 2-2 coming into our place. Night game, obviously big game under the lights Monday night. Given everything that the Chiefs have already done, I don't see them. Now, hold on. Let's go back. We were at the Raiders game last year against the Chiefs with Derek Carr. He played a good game in the stadium. They played well.
He's played there a ton, obviously, being with the Raiders. So the Saints have a weird connection with the Chiefs. Actually, 3 of their starters on defense are ex-Chiefs. Tyrann Mathieu, Willie Gay. He's not going to be playing. He broke something in his arms last week, so he's not going to play. But it's Tyrann Mathieu, Willie Gay, and Colin Saunders, defensive tackle. So it's kind of it'll be an interesting homecoming. It'll be interesting to see how the crowd reacts to Tyrann. He was a big part of the early Mahomes era, Super Bowl runs, Super Bowl championships, and
I've got the Saints. Or I'm sorry, I've got the Chiefs. I've got the Chiefs. I think that they've shown that they can win under any condition so far. Again, they're at home, big game. I think it's going to be too much, and Mahomes is not playing his best just yet. And who knows? Maybe this is the game that he figures it out and turns it on. But I don't see them losing to the Saints at home in a big-time game like this. And 5-0, they're going to be battling back and forth with the Vikings to see who's going to lose the one first. I don't think it'll be the Chiefs this week.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tough game. I think it's going to be tighter than people think. That's just how the Chiefs play, unfortunately. They play everyone tight. Currently, the Chiefs are 5.5-point favorites. Saints' defense is very good. I wish we were playing a defense that wasn't great, but Saints' defense is good. I think we'll be able to exploit them, however, with some speed. Their back end does not have long speed. Marshawn Lattimore, their best corner, doesn't have great top end speed. And Tyrann Mathieu, with him getting older, does not have great top end speed anymore. Why does that matter? Well, last week in the Chargers game, the Chiefs finally were attempting to stretch the field vertically. They connected on one of them to Xavier Worthy. So I think they're going to continue to do that. I wouldn't be surprised if Justin Watson, McCole Hardman, obviously Xavier Worthy are going to be stretching the field. I think that matters, but I think the Chiefs ultimately will win. I don't know if they'll cover. I just want a Chiefs win, and I think they will advance to 5-0. So,
stay perfect.
Let's talk about some surprises. Let's stay in the NFL. Some surprising teams through week 4. I can kind of start with the one that's pretty obvious, and that's going to be the Minnesota Vikings. If you would have told me that they were going to start the year with McCarthy, their first round pick from Michigan quarterback, getting hurt in the preseason, starting Sam Darnold, and then being 4-0 to start the year, I would have told you were crazy. So they have really surprised me. You got a surprise team?
Yeah, and I got to hand it to you. It's Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders. 3-1, 3-0 win streak. Jaden Daniels
just beat Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Or was that 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago they beat Cincinnati. They beat someone else last week.
Yeah, they beat the Cardinals last week, and
Yes.
they destroyed them at the Cardinals' place as well, 42-14. Jaden Daniels, man, he's looking good. He's looking like the guy that you called him out to be.
Rookie of the year.
Yeah.
Offensive rookie of the year. That's my pick.
And the thing for me is, let me look here. He's not running the ball as I thought maybe he was going to. He's having some success in the air. Did he have 3 touchdowns last week?
Well, the thing that's crazy is he's completing 82% of his passes.
Uh-huh.
He's leading the league in that category, and for a rookie to do that is pretty crazy. Now, the thing to watch out for them is as they continue to have success, their offensive coordinator is Cliff Kingsbury. I think he's going to ultimately have a good year with Daniels, and then he's going to get another head coaching opportunity next year. But yeah, sorry, keep going.
Yeah, I mean, 897, 3 touchdowns, only 1 interception. You know, with all these rookie quarterbacks, a lot of times I'm always betting against them because they're going to face an NFL defense this early in the season. They kind of got to figure it out. Typically, it takes them a year. He's kind of stepped in without any really worries at all, and he's dominating. And so that's exciting to see. That was your pick for Rookie of the Year.
I do think they're going to start. I think he's going to start to slow down. I think he's going to come back to earth a little bit. But
he's got the Browns this week. Following that, he'll be at the Ravens. So,
which the Browns defense is good.
Browns, Ravens, Panthers. Obviously, you're struggling, but the Bears defense, they've been good. Mm-hmm. Giants, Steelers. Yeah, I mean it's going to get tough, especially on the back half there. Wow. Yeah, the back half is going to be tough for him to figure out. But yeah, that's
another
kind of my
surprise for me.
Week.
Another team for me is Seattle. They don't get a whole lot of credit, but Geno Smith is good.
Yeah, he's leading the league right now in passing yards.
He's really good. Kenneth Walker. I mean, they have some good offensive pieces. Mike McDonald, their new head coach, was Baltimore's defensive coordinator. So they lost in a shootout this week to Detroit, which that was a fun competitive game. Ultimately, though, I think I'm pretty surprised that they're as good as they are, and Geno's in the. It's way too early to even talk about this, but Geno to me is in the MVP conversation. He makes a lot of tough throws, and he seems to be Benjamin Button and getting better with age. So I like Seattle. Surprised by them.
One more real quick. Steelers 3-1 on the season. Just dropped one of the Colts. Not a great win or not a great loss. And they got a tough one against the Cowboys coming up. But they're also kind of impressive, especially with the whole quarterback situation, having a little bit of uncertainty. Fields
is taking it over. I'm guessing that's why you put... I mean, if you're a Bears fan, seeing Fields walk out the door and be somewhat competent at quarterback, to me, shows a reflection of the Bears coaching staff, which is what we're seeing Caleb have issues with. It's not like their defense is the issue. The offensive side of the ball is the issue. And I think they're going to... But my whole point in saying that is I think Fields walking out of the door and looking more competent than he did in Chicago, and he's playing for another defensive coach in Pittsburgh with Mike Tomlin. So if I was a Bears fan, I don't know, maybe if some Bears fans are listening, Grayson, maybe let us know what you think about that.
Disappointments. Teams were not happy about. I've got one.
Go ahead.
Jacksonville Jaguars. Mm-hmm. Major disappointment for me. I picked Trevor Lawrence up when Jordan Love went down first week of fantasy. I picked Lawrence up thinking that he'd be competent, be able to figure it out. He's not only been poor for me from an individual standpoint, but then also seeing their products on the field. 0-4, yikes! That's a major worry. And I don't really know what's the problem there. What's going on?
Their team as a whole, they just seem like they don't give a crap. Now, Trevor played horrible 2 weeks ago. Basically came out and said to the media, hey, this starts with me. I've been horrible. Last week, he actually played pretty well. I've always liked Trevor Lawrence, personally. People think I'm crazy for saying this, but I would rather have Trevor Lawrence than Justin Herbert.
Huh. Yeah, you are a little psycho.
He beat him in a playoff game, head-to-head.
Yeah, I remember watching that game. That was pretty tight.
the Chargers choked.
And Doug Peterson's still down with the Jaguars, right?
Correct.
Yeah, that's weird. I don't know.
Yeah,
what the
it's
hell is
interesting
going on
how quick they fell off. But last week, 2 touchdowns, no picks. It's not like he played bad necessarily, but Jacksonville's defense is the worst defense in the league statistically. Is a big problem. They took Trayvon Walker. They have a bunch of first-round picks on that defense. Trayvon Walker is one of them. Josh Allen, the defensive lineman, Josh Allen, another one. And their defense just is brutal. So that's a big reason.
Yeah, I'm looking at them. I don't recognize many of their names outside of those that you mentioned, outside of maybe Darby.
Chad Muma.
Yeah. Yeeks. Chad Muma sounds like a quarterback. I don't even know who that is.
University of Wyoming.
Oh, Eric Armstead. He's on there, too. Okay. Yeah, I don't recognize any of their secondary for the most part outside of Darby.
I'm going to talk about my most disappointing team, the Miami Dolphins. Now, I understand your quarterback got hurt, but you guys look like an SEC team could walk in there and whip you right now. They just look so not competitive. Players just seem to be giving up. I mean, it's week 5, and just like Tyreek's, I've never really liked Tyreek's antics off the field. Great player, but he just seems disengaged. I think Mike McDaniels is on the little bit of a hot seat potentially because of they seem so Tua reliant that when he's not in and he's not playing, they just can't do anything at all. They're not good defensively. They play like a college team that just wants to spread you out as if that their athletes are way better than every other athlete, but they're playing in the NFL. So ultimately that's going to catch up to you. And I don't buy their scheme and their system. And that's why I like Mike McDaniel, but I just think he might be in a little bit over his skis here.
I don't know if you can put him on the hot seat that quick. I like him.
Why not? Last year he came to Kansas City and got embarrassed in a playoff game.
I don't think you can do, and that was his second year?
Yes,
with the Dolphins.
Is his third.
Okay.
I believe, maybe 4th.
I mean, I think that's a rough go, given what happened with Tua.
I mean, think of his
they
roster,
have made some bad decisions on wide receivers on who they're taking. Again, Tyreek Hill with the antics, he's really, really good, but an old OBJ. They got Waddle, I guess.
Think about what another coach does though with that. They have some good players.
That's the thing though. I like what they do with the team that they have, and they were tricky last year. It's not like they were bad. You're right. They did get embarrassed, but you're also a Chiefs fan. The Chiefs are supposed to do that. The Chiefs are the best team in the NFL.
Every time they play Buffalo, for example, in their division, embarrassed. They get embarrassed every time. Mm-hmm. They can't play when the weather's below 30 degrees. It's part of being in Miami, though. But
yeah,
I don't know.
No, I get it.
I'm just disappointed in Miami. I think they have really good players, and I think they can't control the Tua situation. But
speaking of off-the-field antics and putting you in a place where you're at, Cincinnati Bengals, disappointment. We kind of talked about it last week, but I know fashion's different nowadays.
They might lose again this week.
And you'll see me in some of the stuff that these guys wear straight up. But man, Joe Burrow and his guy on the outside. What are
Jamar.
you guys wearing? What are you guys talking about? Do you just need to shut it up, put on a sweatsuit, show up to the game, win some games before we start listening to you guys again? Because you guys
Cincinnati
are
media, you
embarrassing.
guys should know better. Don't put a mic in front of Jamar Chase because he's going to say something stupid.
See, I don't
That's
remember
either
him
not
being like that. It's like he got confident, and now he's starting to live that way. I didn't feel like he was like that prior.
Yeah, I don't know what he's trying to prove or what he's trying to do, but I mean, he's a good player. He says the dumbest stuff. They play Baltimore this week. Cincinnati does at home. They're underdogs. They could lose this and be 1-4. I'm not gonna panic though if I'm a Cincinnati fan because their schedule after that they should go on a 4-game run. They play the Giants, they play Cleveland, Philly's not that good, and then they play the Raiders.
See, the thing about it is,
But being 1-4 is a whole.
I like their coach. I like Zach Taylor. I mean, I have to like him. He's a former Nebraska quarterback, but their team is not taking on the personality of what he operates with. Like Mike McDaniels, they kind of feed off of, or the Dolphins feed off of his energy, and they kind of have that personality.
You want to know a fun fact?
Go ahead.
Currently, Cincinnati's offense is a top 5 offense in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
A top 5 offense in the NFL has never missed the playoffs since I believe it's like 1985.
Huh.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I'm not saying they
interesting.
win the Super Bowl or anything, but I'm saying missing the playoffs in general. 1-4, if they lose this week, though, would be a big hole.
Yeah. All right, Coop. Show us the money. What's the NFL lock of the week?
Lock of the week. I'll review last week. I'm 3-1 for those who are listening. You can thank me for the money that you're making. Matt Safranik, I expect some of your winnings. Last week my lock was Cincinnati actually over Carolina 4.5. Ended up winning by 10 points. That was really never even I thought a tough pick at all. Let's look ahead to week 5. Week 5 I kind of have 2. This is the first one is the one I feel better about. Minnesota over the New York Jets. This game is overseas. I don't know exactly where overseas. Let me look. London. Okay, this game is in London. It's at 8:30 a.m. Central Time. Currently, Minnesota is favored by 1 point. Okay. I think the Jets are not good. The Jets offensively have one of the they're scoring 19 points a game, and they're about to play the 4th best defense points per game wise. Brian Flores, the defensive coordinator for the Vikings, is really doing some interesting stuff, confusing the opposing offenses that he's playing, and then Sam Darnold. If the year ended right now, he would win the MVP. His numbers are crazy, leading the league in passing touchdowns, and they're 4-0. So I think that a 1 point spread is, I don't personally don't understand that. Now my bonus lock for the week, this is not going to count against the record.
Self-proclaimed here.
But I have Dallas covering against Pittsburgh. This is the Sunday night game. Dallas is pretty banged up. No Micah Parsons, no DeMarcus Lawrence on the defensive side. Pittsburgh is favored by a point, so ultimately it's a pick 'em. But I just don't see Pittsburgh being able to score. I think Dallas is ultimately going to be able to score some points here. So I'm picking Dallas to cover. So the 2 locks: Minnesota to cover over the Jets and Dallas to cover over Pittsburgh.
Nice.
Let's go college. Let's start talking college.
All right, where do we want to start? We don't have to go in order here. I know, where do you want to start? Let's just start here.
Wherever you
work up. We don't have to spend much time, but okay, Kansas has not beaten an FBS team. I got to say it out here. All these Mizzou fans, everybody else, they'll be mad at me if we don't talk about this. The FCS team they lost to might make the playoffs. Their quarterback UNLV's quarterback comes out complaining, saying he's not getting his UNL or his NIL money. Leaves. The backup comes in and dominates and throws 300 yards and like 4 touchdowns. Yeah. So it's like
they're 4-0.
So have a good day.
They're 4-0. But yeah, to keep it brief with Kansas, disappointed.
Frustrating.
Don't want to talk about it. Jeff Grimes, This has been a horrible start to your Kansas career. Kansas offensive coordinator, completely disappointed, at a loss. That's all I'm going to say about Kansas. Let's move on.
Okay, move on. Let's go Kansas State. Actually, no, we'll finish with them. Let's go.
Should we start with Mizzou?
Sure, let's go Mizzou.
I was going to say, they have the biggest game
Texas
this
A&M.
weekend. Yep.
Both top 25 rated teams. Mizzou going on the road to Texas A&M. Now, I did a little bit of homework, and I don't give Mizzou a lot of credit. Still don't trust Brady Cook, so this will be something, he'll have to work through this. But a couple things, fun facts. And I didn't think Mizzou's defense was as good as these stats are going to say. They're better. Well, they're top 10. I'm pretty sure it was third down.
They're 8th in points, 3rd in total yards, 5th in passing, and 19th in rushing.
So they're playing well. They're better in the red zone than Texas A&M. They're better on third down than Texas A&M. And Texas A&M has a quarterback, Marcel Reed, that I didn't know until today that he was playing, that he's a dual threat. Looks like he's doing pretty good, not throwing many interceptions. He's running the ball. Wegman's out. He hasn't played in 3 weeks.
I didn't even know that. I haven't been really
Jared,
following
shout out. Coach me up on that. But yeah, I was really trying to feel the Texas A&M side of things, and I was going to pick them.
Now, the thing that I think is interesting, that I think Mizzou's defensive stats are inflated.
Right. They haven't played very many people.
Well, they didn't give up a point in the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Week 3 and 4, week 2 on, they're giving up 23 a game, 23 and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And that was to Boston College and Vanderbilt. So this week we'll see how good this defense truly is.
Yeah.
If you're looking at stats, you could argue they're a top 10 defense. We'll see.
That is a very good point here. that helps me a lot because Texas A&M has played some people actually.
I think it helps Mizzou that this is a day game. If this were a night game and you gave those fans all day to tailgate and get kind of lathered up for the night game.
Yeah.
So are we going? Are we doing picks now?
Yeah, we're picking here. Oh man, I might have to
Currently,
change my pick.
Texas A&M is favored by 2. This is game day going here? Do you know?
No, they're not.
Where are they going?
I'm not sure where they're going, but I don't think they're going here. I can look it up real quick. Who do you got? Man, this is tough.
I'm going to pick Texas A&M to win here. Couple reasons. One, I think the communication part when Mizzou is on the field, they're not going to be able to hear anything. This is Mizzou's first road game of the year, which I think matters. It's not like they're going to play, a non-con, like you're playing no one here. This is one of the tougher places to play in the country. I think Mizzou, and I've seen this, Mizzou's been trying to simulate the noise at practice. I don't think you can ultimately simulate 100,000 people. So I think that matters. And also I think the dual threat capability of A&M's quarterback is going to matter. I don't think Mizzou's defense is as good as most people think they are, which is kind of what I was hinting at earlier. I think it's going to be a tight game. But I think A&M's going to win 27-24. Aggies. What do you got?
I really like that number. All right, I'm going to agree. I'm going to take Texas A&M to cover. I think they're going to win in a tight one. And it's not really from the defense. It's not really because of anything Texas A&M is going to do on offense. This is going to come down to what I've been saying all along, and so I want to be proven wrong. Brady Cook is not going to be able to handle this intense game, top 25 opponent on the road. In my mind, this is a big game. This is they don't play very many good teams along the way here. Alabama coming up. But they got kind of a soft schedule, so this is very important for them to win. I don't trust Brady Cook in these scenarios, and you've actually swayed me just bringing up their first 2 weeks and their last 2 weeks and why their defense looks so good on paper, which I almost sold myself that I was going to be a Mizzou pick, but I'm going against it. I'm going Texas A&M to cover.
And the other thing that I think is under the radar, A&M has one of the best rushing offenses in the country. The dual threat quarterback helps that. They run for 231 yards a game. Top 15 in the country, 13th in the country in rushing yards per game.
I mean, for being a dual threat and only in playing the last 2 or 3 games, he's got 6 touchdowns, no interceptions. I mean, it's not like he's not throwing the ball. He's got 585 yards, 79 attempts.
What score do you think?
I'm going to go... I don't even think Mizzou's going to be able to get to 20. I think I'm going to go 21-18.
Okay. Well, we're both on A&M there. This is probably Brady Cook's biggest game. If Brady Cook wins this game,
shut me up.
Is this considered a big game? Like when we argue,
this is the biggest game of the season so far. I will consider this a big game.
This would be a big win for his career.
This has playoff implications here. Do you think
this game is bigger than the Cotton Bowl?
Yeah,
I agree.
This has playoff implications.
If Mizzou loses this game, their season is on the line when they play Alabama. If they lose to A&M and Alabama, they're out.
Absolutely, because they don't play anybody else after this.
Yeah, and they're kind of falling in the ranking. They're ninth somehow. I don't know why they fell. I don't really think they should have. But
they've struggled. They had a week off. So, all right.
Let's talk about your Nebraska Cornhuskers.
That's right. Kind of a weird line.
They have a big game
here.
this week too.
Yeah, kind of a weird line here. We're at home, favored by 7 against Rutgers. Rutgers undefeated, best offensive line for a couple weeks. I don't know if that's still standing true, but they did in the past. Just got a big win against Washington. Everybody was picking Washington over Rutgers at Rutgers last week. They looked good. They won. Actually, frankly, they didn't look great. They should have lost, but Washington's field goal kicker couldn't make one to save his life. He missed 3. But yeah, I just kind of preview. Rutgers can run the ball.
I was going to say, they're going to try and run the heck out of the ball. They got a pretty good back.
They got a great back. Manungai, he's very good. They can run the ball. Like I said already, they have a good offensive line. They will not challenge us, in my opinion, vertically with the passing game. Callie McManus, or whatever his last name is, I think I actually said it right. He doesn't impress you from that perspective, but he's not a bad quarterback. He did beat us last year when he was
Can he move? Can he run?
Not really. He's not like Brady Cook. Brady Cook's not really a runner to me, but he runs better than this guy. But Callie McManus, he beat us last year when he was at Minnesota. He transferred to Rutgers.
That's where he's from.
Yeah,
Minnesota.
He's the one that threw that ball on the corner on us last year, first week. So he can throw the ball a little bit, but they haven't really challenged anybody so far. Nebraska is gearing up. We looked okay last week. We won it in the fourth quarter. Rule had the boys fired up. You know, everybody's saying that we can't win close games. Well, we destroyed them in the fourth. We've got to come out here and we got to win this game. I picked us to go, 8-4. We're gonna have a tough one with Indiana in about 2 weeks as well, and then we got Ohio State.
This is the springboard of the season. I think you got to bye next week, and then the second half is the tougher part of the schedule.
We got to take care of this one at home.
You got Indiana, you got at Ohio State, and you got at USC, Wisconsin, and at Iowa.
Yeah.
So you guys should beat UCLA.
Yeah.
That's at home, but
every other one is tough. Outside of Wisconsin, Wisconsin shouldn't be that tough.
I think back to this game with Rutgers, Nebraska-Rutgers, I actually think you guys are going to dominate this game. You guys are currently 7-point favorites. I think you guys are going to cover that. I think that their strengths play into your guys' strengths, which I think you're better at your strength than they are. I think your guys' defensive line, I don't think their offensive line is as good as people think.
So when you say we're going to kill them, what's the differential here?
I think you're going to win by double digits.
Okay.
10+. When I look at who they've played, they played Howard, they played Akron, then they played Virginia Tech, and then Washington. The main reason I think your guys' defensive line is actually really good. Ty Robinson's good. He's not going to be a good player at the next level, I don't necessarily think. Or I would be surprised if he was, but I think he's a good college player. And I just think your guys' defensive line is going to give them fits. I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball like they typically do. And I think you guys are going to basically force them to throw the ball, which to me doesn't play into Rutgers' favor, obviously. And I think Nebraska offensively is a lot more versatile than Rutgers. I think Nebraska can run the ball when they want to, but I trust Dylan Raiola to throw the ball when needed compared to Rutgers quarterback. So I think you guys cover. I don't think it's as close as some people think, and I think you guys win by 10+. Taking you guys to 5-1 going into the bye.
Would you look at that?
And then the tough part will happen.
I'm going to take Nebraska as well. I think we're going to win by 10. I think we'll cover, maybe a late touchdown at the end to seal it. Like you said, the Rutgers defensive line is kind of weak. They don't get any pressure, so Rail is going to have a lot of time, which is good because our offensive line's banged up a little bit. So I think we're going to have some time. I think he's kind of proven that he can throw it so far on anybody that we've played. We'll get a real test against Ohio State with that defense, but I think we're going to handle them. We're going to pass the ball, and that's going to open up the run game. And defensively, I think they're going to get some yards, but we're going to shut them down. They're not going to be able to just run the ball. We're going to put enough people in the box, make it a numbers game, and make them throw it. And I don't think that quarterback is going to be able to keep them in the game long enough or have the firepower if they get down to bring them back. So got Nebraska, agree, 5-1 to cover.
Okay. Let's go to K-State now. K-State came off a big win. Well, last week they came off a big win.
Shocking.
Beat the crap out of Oklahoma State. Let's talk Avery Johnson really quick. A lot of people are starting to jump back on the bandwagon. I'm still not. He cannot throw the ball, people. I'm telling you, he cannot throw the ball. Last week, and people are looking at numbers to me that don't mean a whole lot. They're looking at stuff like passing touchdowns. Doesn't matter to me. If you look at half of his touchdowns, they're off a play action where they're going on the goal line. They're on the 5-yard and closer, and they're doing the signature Tim Tebow play where he acts like he's going to run the ball, the jump pass. 2 of his touchdowns this year are on that. The thing that means more to me is going to be completion percentage. He's not accurate at all. Last week he went 19 for 31. He can run the ball well, but I just don't trust that right arm on the kid. And but yeah, they had a big win. I think K-State's probably going to find their way in the Big 12 title game some way, somehow. They have a big game next week against Colorado. I don't know your thoughts on
let's kind of prelude
K-State.
into that.
Okay.
Already a little bit of...
Let's talk Colorado first, and then we'll go into the matchup.
Yeah.
Are you buying the Colorado hype train starting to get rolling?
As everybody's heard every week, I've been talking a lot of crap.
Ever since the Nebraska game, they're kind of rolling. Colorado is.
You know, there's a famous quote out there. It got a lot of attention on Twitter. I don't know if you've seen it, but I did say that. Actually, no, you didn't, because it's a burner that I have.
I also don't have Twitter.
I did say that I didn't think Colorado would. I think they would have the same amount of wins that Nebraska did have losses. So that's kind of a tough feat right now. They're 4-1. I did not expect last week to happen with UCF. I didn't think K-State would do what they did either against Oklahoma State. So this is going to be a great matchup. They're already talking a little bit of trash. We had Avery Johnson going back and forth on Twitter. It's going to be spicy. I'm kind of mad we got to wait a week.
Now the thing is, they're both coming off a bye, and their styles could not be more different. K-State's going to try and just ground and pound. Colorado wants to spread it out. So it'll be interesting to me to see what happens with that game. We won't predict it. We'll predict it next week. But do you think Colorado, if you had to put money on it right now, do you think Colorado will represent the Big 12 in the Big 12 title game? You think they'll make it that far? Because a lot of people are starting to get back on the train. You know, the Travis Hunter hype's going, the Shador hype, it's all starting to roll.
Let's just do this real quick. I don't want to spend too much time, but if I'm going to say that, I got to look at their schedule because...
I got it pulled up here. They play K-State. Then they go to Arizona.
Okay.
They play Cincinnati. They go to Texas Tech, which is a tough place to play. Then they play Utah. Then they come to Arrowhead and play Kansas. And then they play Oklahoma State at home to end the year.
I think that this game between Kansas State and Colorado will be that deciding factor, honestly. I think that, we don't want to predict it yet.
I don't think they're as good. To answer my own question, my answer would be no. I don't think they're going to. I think they're going to lose 3 or 4 games still. I don't think that what they're doing is sustainable. They got absolutely lucky against UCF that they won that game.
Well,
Or
they
not
won by
UCF,
30.
sorry, not UCF. The week before.
Oh yeah, Baylor.
Baylor.
That was pure luck. I mean,
Yes. I mean that's whatever.
Baylor gave that game away.
Kudos to them, they won, but that happens probably 1 out of 100 times. So
I think kind of like you said for Nebraska, that game's going to be a springboard. They got a week off to prepare for it. It is probably the opponent. If they do win, it sets them up really well to where they now have the pressure on them to lose the Big 12 title appearance, and they got to win out, or they got to win most of those games going into that, outside of Utah, obviously. If they lose, absolutely not. There's no way that they can get back in.
whoever ultimately wins this game, which I'm not going to say who I think is going to win, but I think whoever wins this game has a chance to be the second team to represent the Big 12 in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
So,
all right. I want to talk about, and hopefully you can add some feedback here, a game I'm looking forward to watch before we get to the lock of the week for me. Iowa, Ohio State. Very excited to watch this one because Ohio State.
just the most Big Ten game ever. Why are you excited here?
Well, one, I can't wait to answer or see the answer to the question. Is Ohio State, what are they? Who are they? What's their identity? They haven't had to play a big test yet. They've been very quiet for being the number 3 team in the country. They're 4-0. Akron, Western Michigan, Marshall, Michigan State. They're going to take care of business, but now they are going to face a defense that always has been a challenge,
So
no
are
matter
you just
who they
more
play.
anticipating the matchup between Ohio State's offense and Michigan's defense?
Yes.
Basically to see how Will Howard reacts?
Yes, I think Ohio State's going to win.
Yeah. But you
And I
think it'll
think they
maybe be
could-
closer than this 18.5
Right.
point spread?
Yeah, it's their first test. Now they're getting it at home though, and
Is this a
then we
day
got the
game?
big boy against Oregon the following week. Yes, this
This is a pretty
2:30
big
kick.
game for Ohio State, kind of a tune-up game. Yeah, you're right. It'll be interesting to see how Will Howard does against a formidable defense. So yeah, that'll be an interesting game to watch.
And now for all you Iowa fans, softest schedule maybe I've seen in my life. This is the only ranked team that you have on the docket for the season so far. Nebraska will probably be ranked by the time you get to us, but
That's the last game of the year. You guys
That's the
will
last
not be
game of
ranked.
the year.
You'll be on a 4-game skid by then.
don't careful. But this is literally the only ranked team you have left on the schedule. And you're probably going to walk your way to Nebraska before you get a test. Washington, Michigan State, Northwestern, Wisconsin, UCLA, Maryland. If you don't lose to Iowa State, wow, you guys just failed there. Now I'm just reliving this all over again because we watched it on the big screen at Nebraska. But yeah, this is going to be a big game for you guys. To
Cade Crawl.
to solidify
This
yourself.
is a big game for your guy Ferentz here.
And nobody's giving you any
You don't have a chance.
That's
That's what
vouch.
everyone's
You don't
saying.
have a chance.
Maybe he'll come out and sneak one out.
Slightly cheering for you guys to make this a good one though. But I'm excited to watch that.
All right, what's your lock of the week? Let's end it with something good here.
Michigan, Washington. I'm going to take Michigan on the road against Washington. Washington struggled last week against Rutgers defense. Really couldn't get anything going. Like I said, they should have won the game on field goals. They were getting down to the red zone. But if they're struggling with Rutgers defense that much, they're going to struggle way more with Michigan's defense. Also, Michigan's going to pound the piss out of them on the run. They're going to run the ball down their throat. And if Rutgers could do that, Michigan's going to do it about 10 times worse. I don't know how Washington is favored in this game.
At Washington, maybe that's why I think
Maybe.
it's a mismatch too. I agree. Michigan has the best defensive tackle duo in the country. I think they're going to eat Washington's lunch on the offensive line, and I'm completely surprised that they are favored. I mean, this is an unranked Washington team who's 3-2 being favored over the number 10 team in the country.
Makes no sense. And they're
Sounds
plus 1.5.
sounds like easy money to me.
Yeah, plus 1.5. Now, it could be a trap game. I don't know. But also, I am 1-2. I didn't review last week. We got Oklahoma. I picked it on Wednesday. We learned that about 3/4 their team was out on
All
Friday.
5 of the receivers were out.
And they still figured it out. So thank you, Sooners, and Sean, who also listens. He's a big Boomer Sooner fan. We got it done. So I'm 1-2, looking to kind of get back to some winning picks. Join the road with me.
So take Michigan. That's
Michigan.
the pick. All right,
Michigan
that's another
Colts.
week down. Week 5 is done. Thank you guys for listening.
Comment,
As usual.
subscribe,
Yep.
like.
This is Ray's line. Comment, like, subscribe, share it with your friends. Next week, we're going to have a guest. First week having a guest. We'll see what this is like.
Stay tuned on who it is.
Thanks for listening. See you guys next time.